For the first time in a while, I just had an unbelievable ice cream. But I also think that Brian Ortega has been having way too much ice cream because the man, not only is he not making weight or is he not looking in shape, but the man is done. And let me tell you why. When you talk about Brian Ortega as a fighter, as a person, his career, when you look at his entire career, I'm gonna shock you with this, ladies and gentlemen. Not many people know this, but did you know that Brian Ortega, when he made his UFC debut, actually, let me pull up his record, let's talk about it. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. Check this out. Brian Ortega debuted in the UFC in 2014. You're talking about 11 years ago. And the man fought someone called Mike De La Torre. And Brian Ortega, it was a very tough fight for him. But then he came back and won the fight by submission. But after that fight, what happened to Brian Ortega? He tested positive for an anabolic steroid. And the fight got turned into a no contest. And back then, Brian Ortega was undefeated. And the man came back, got a few fights, Clay Guida, Diego Brandao, Renato Moicano, and he took a lot of damage in all those fights. But then he came back and won. But then, when I believe he was 16-0, who did he fight? He fought Max Holloway at the time. He was a champion. And in my opinion, that was the greatest Max Holloway performance ever, in my opinion. Actually, that was my favorite. Let's not say greatest, that was my favorite. Probably that was my favorite performance ever when it comes to UFC fights. I will never forget that fight. For some reason, it is still one of my favorite fights until this day. But what happened that night in Toronto, Ontario, Canada? Brian Ortega took not just career-altering damage, which showed, and I'm going to tell you why, but the man took life-altering damage. Max Holloway absolutely annihilated him and made him pay for being a former PED user. But what happened after that night? That night, ladies and gentlemen, was 8 years ago. That night was 8 years ago. And 8 years ago, Brian Ortega was undefeated. And after that night, he never won more than one fight in a row. Not just that. Since that night, he only won 2 fights. And the only 2 fights that he won, one was against Korean Zombie. You know, Korean Zombie was way past his prime. And the other one was versus Yair Rodriguez. And you know, if you actually watch that fight, Yair didn't do himself any justice in that performance. But even in that fight where he beat Yair, I mean, the man won nearly like 2 fights in 9 years. And he's still ranked in the top 5. But nonetheless, after Max Holloway, he fought the Korean Zombie after 2 years off. The man took 2 years off, came back, fought the Korean Zombie, beat him. Korean Zombie was way past his prime. Korean Zombie actually was way past his prime when he came back from the military. The real Korean Zombie who was in his prime was the Korean Zombie before fighting Aldo. You're talking about probably since Brian Ortega's debut. But came back, fought Korean Zombie, beat him, they gave him Volkanovski. After winning 1 fight in like 2 years. Gave him Volkanovski. Volkanovski beat the living crap out of him. Volkanovski changed the man. Volkanovski gave him probably double the punishment that Max gave him. And if you actually think about it, that night versus Volkanovski, Brian Ortega was actually acting. He wanted to find a way out. When the referee was asking him how many fingers, I mean, like, do you want to continue? I mean, the man he was acting. He wanted to find a way out. But nonetheless, came back and got destroyed by Yair, and then came back and beat Yair again after getting dropped multiple times, and then got destroyed by Diego Lopez and got dropped twice, and now, earlier today, he got absolutely wrecked and annihilated by a former 135-pounder. And not just that, Brian Ortega showed up as a lightweight, ladies and gentlemen. and he said that in this fight he's going to reinvent himself as Ortega. Ortega was a new slogan for Brian Ortega. What did the man do? The man ran for his life versus someone. I love Aljamain. I've talked to Aljamain many times, but Aljamain got the. I mean, I'm not gonna be. I'm gonna be honest. He looked good tonight. He looked good today. When you talk about a striking, but let's be honest. Aljamain Sterling has never hurt a single opponent with a single strike. The man is a tip-tap striker. And he beat Brian Ortega 50-45. The lightweight Ortega. So Brian Ortega, if you actually think about his career in its entirety, the man, it's safe to say, he's overrated. The UFC wanted a Mexican-American star, and he's good-looking, and he's charismatic, and he got knockout power, and he got flashy submissions. So they've been keeping him in the top 5 for the last 9 years, even though he only won twice. And every time he loses, he doesn't just lose in like regular fashion. He gets annihilated. He gets destroyed, literally and figuratively. His face gets disfigured and rearranged in every single time that he loses, or wins, or even wins. I mean, the only 2 times where he won, and probably in the past decade, a Korean zombie, look at his face after the fight. He was busted up. And not just that, versus Yair, he was dropped for the first time in his career multiple times that night. That night it was that was his first time getting dropped in that fight before winning. And he didn't get get dropped just once. He got dropped twice and got the hell beat out of him. But then Yair gassed and Ortega came back and finished him. But even in that fight, he injured his knee while they were calling out his name. I mean, the man is an absolute mess, if you ask me. If you ask me, Brian Ortega, the man tested positive for PEDs in his debut, and he admitted to it. He wasn't one of those fighters who were like, oh, tainted supplement. No. But he claimed that he took anabolic steroids to help with the weight cut. And he actually did an interview on MMA Junkie. I remember watching it when I was a kid. He was like apologetic, but that interview is gone now. It's deleted from MMA Junkie. So I don't know what's the deal with Brian Ortega, and even, you know, his manager is shady. If you know, you know. But I don't know. I don't know what's next for Brian Ortega. I think that the man took so much punishment in his career so far that his life is danger in every which way that you can think of, ladies and gentlemen. And I think that the man needs to retire. The man is, I hate to disrespect any fighter because they are modern gladiators. But once you test positive for PEDs, and once you have this type of defense, I mean, the man is literally a punching bag. He is literally a punching bag, Brian Ortega is. And in all honesty, the man is done. And the man has been done. The man's been done since 2018. Think about it. How crazy is that? He's been done since 2018 and he's still in the top 5. I mean, now he's gonna get out of the top 5 now, no question, after losing to Aljamain. But all I'm saying is this: Brian Ortega is finished, and the man needs to hang up his gloves before his life. I mean, God only knows how he's gonna speak and what the state of his brain will be like in a few years' time. But the man is in deep trouble, and the man, the sooner and the quicker that he retires, it would be in his best interest, without a question.